Hello! Hey, I'm Eldar Mentak, and this series is a quick little introduction guide to the planetary interaction, or PI. These are the very basics that you can apply to your own PI setups. You can change them to fit whatever product you plan on making. So let's get started. I would like to add a friendly reminder here that a character must be Omega to do PI. Each EVE account has 3 character slots. It is highly recommended that you utilize each of these slots for PI to increase your passive income as much as possible. There are many schools of thought on how you should set up your PI, but the method I will cover is the one that I use. You're more than welcome to research and experiment with other ways. This is the way that I set mine up and has never gone wrong for me. Planetary interaction is the activity in EVE where you build a base on a planet to mine for resources. If you are Omega, you should have PI set up to increase your passive income. The following is a quick overview of how PI is mined and created, and I will go over them more in depth in another video, but this is the basic idea of PI. Planetary commodities are what you mine from planets, as well as the products you create from those initial raw resources. They are commonly referred to by their level. For example, the raw form of the product that you mine is called P0. From there, you refine P0 into P1. The P1 is then manufactured on planets into P2, P3, and P4. P4 is the highest form of PI material. P2, P3, and P4 are all used in manufacturing many things in EVE, from ships to modules. A facility on the planet's surface called an extractor allows you to place extractor heads on the planet's surface to mine for resources. These extractor heads mine on a cycle you set, which you can run from 1 hour to 14 days and can be increased in 15-minute intervals. Once mined, the material is refined, and the refined material can be used to create higher tiers of PI to be used in manufacturing different things in EVE. Now that we've covered the concept of PI, let's go over the skills required to start PI. You can find the skills required for planetary interaction on your skill sheet under the planet management grouping. There are 5 skills related to PI, but you only need 4 to do it effectively. The first and most important skill is command center upgrades. At the core of your PI on each planet is your command center. It's the first building you place to be able to power all of your other buildings. Your command center has power and CPU, which it uses to place the other buildings, similar to ship fitting. The command center upgrade skill increases the output of your command center's power grid and CPU, so it's important you have this skill to at least level 3. You should aim to get it to level 4. The interplanetary consolidation skill is important because it allows you to control more planets. Each character is able to control 1 planet by default, and each level of this skill increases the number of planets you can control by 1 for a maximum of 6. I highly recommend you get this skill to at least level 4. At level 4, you will have 5 planets available per character. Planetology allows you to read the scans of the planet more accurately. This means you will be able to identify areas of concentrated materials easier. I recommend getting this skill up to at least level 3. The last and least important skill is remote sensing. This skill allows you to scan planets remotely, increasing the distance by 1 light year for each level. You should only train this skill higher if you anticipate that you will be away from your PI systems when it comes time to reset the cycles. Other than that, training this skill can be considered a waste of time. You're going to need a little bit of money to set up your planets. I would recommend having 50 million ISK on each of the characters you're going to be using. You probably won't be using all of the 50 million. This is just to make sure you cover all the initial setup fees. The next thing you're going to need is an epithal. It is a Galent T1 hauler ship that is bonus for PI and has 2 separate cargo holds, a hold for command centers and a hold for PI materials. Let's move on to scanning planets for resources. For this, you're going to want to undock a ship. Any ship will do, even your rookie ship. Once you are undocked, just go ahead and stop your ship. You'll be able to scan the planet from here. Find and select the planet in your overview, and once you've done that, click on the View Planetary Industry button on the selected item interface. From here, you will want to select the raw material known as P0 from the list on the left. We'll go ahead and use carbon compounds as an example. Immediately, you can see the whole planet light up with these different colors. The blue areas are the areas with the least amount of carbon compounds, and the white areas contain the most. Places that do not have any color at all have very little of the material we are looking for. I would like to mention that these resources move after a while. The planet is constantly shifting, so although you will build your infrastructure around these initial nodes, it will eventually dwindle to nothing, and you will need to move your extractor heads, which I will cover in the next video. We can change the settings of the scan to display the areas with higher concentrations of materials by moving these sliders. As I move this handle of the slider to the left, the whole planet turns white. This shows us that carbon compounds are present on the entire planet. As I move the slider to the right, the white begins to go away, showing us where the higher concentrations of carbon compounds are. You'll want to move the slider until there are only a few of these white spots left. This is where we will set up our PI to begin mining. By focusing on these initial hotspots, we guarantee we'll have enough of the resources to mine for a while. I would like to note here that the planet never runs 100% dry. You will still be able to mine some materials when this resource node goes away, although they will be at a much lower amount than what you initially get. I would say about half of what you initially get. And that's it. Those are the basics of scanning a planet for PI. Let's talk about mining planets. In the next video, I will go over setting up mining and mixing planets. This is just an initial video to go over the concepts of PI. Please keep in mind that each planet will require a command center regardless if it is a mining planet or a mixing planet. Let's look at what a mining planet is. A mining planet is a basic planet with one extractor with the maximum number of mining heads, 2 launch pads, and as many refineries as you can place. This is where the command center upgrade skill comes in. These planets take the P0 you have mined from the planet and refine it into P1. A mixing planet is a planet consisting of 2 launch pads, a storage facility, and as many factories as you can place. This is meant to handle all of your P1 and turn it all into P2, P3, and P4. PI is the balancing act of producing enough P0 and P1 on your mining planets to fulfill the needs of your mixing planets. It really depends on how many alts you're using and what commodity you're making. Generally, I do 4 miners and 1 mixer for each of my alts. What you choose to produce will be something you need to research on your own, and depends on what part of New Eden you live in. In HiSec, you must contend with taxes on customs offices, so your profit margins will be thinner than if you were in 0-0 space. One of the easiest PI chains that you can set up to provide some passive income in a few simple steps is coolant. It is a P2 and is required to build each of the 4 fuel blocks, so it is usually in large demand in all areas of space. That's about it for this video. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope that I have helped make PI less daunting. It's not exactly the best part of EVE in terms of dealing with the UI and setting it up, but on the bright side, once you have it set up, you really only have to interact with it every so often to collect the materials and reset your cycles. Bye-bye!